Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. Tracy here, and I'm going to show you this new stitch that I've been working on, and I really like this stitch, to be honest with you, back and front. So traditionally the first row of working would make that garment or whatever you're working on the front, so this would actually be the back, but I prefer this view. I like them both. Now this is a sample ball of Stylecraft Savannah cotton that was sent to me, and I wanted to see what the yarn worked up like, so I've chosen quite a big swatch, and I really like the way this has worked up in this yarn. So this is, as I said, an Aran weight. This is the other way. The first row now is at the front, so this traditionally would be the front. Now if you preferred the rear view, they're very similar anyway, but if you preferred the rear, you could always at the beginning do 2 rows of UK double or US singles to flip it, and that way you would have the back as the front, etc. So anyway, this is the stitch. It works up really well both ways. That's what it's like with an Aran cotton. This is what it looks like with a DK that's self-striping. This was made with Kiddy's Kaleidoscope in Strawberry Ripple, and this is the back part and this is the front. So I really love this stitch, I have to say. I wanted to show you what it looked like with a chunky as well. So this is the chunky yarn. Again, that is the back view. What I really like about this was sorry about that. My voice just dried. So this is the back, as I said, and it kind of has when you use a different colour, it has a chevron effect. So that's what it would look like if you just did, it's a 2-row repeat, and if you did 2 rows in one colour, that is the kind of effect that you would get on the rear. That's what it looks like at the front. So if you wanted to make it as a rainbow and you preferred the back of it, then as I said before, you can just do 2 rows at the base to get it flipped the other way around. I don't have any water handy, so I might have to pause it in a second. But I'm going to also show you this. I wanted to see what it looked like using one of those yarns that's very similar to Boho Spirit by Signet, or the Stylecraft Cabaret yarns. These are the sort of self-striping marble type yarn. Now this one was, if you've watched my channel for a while, you'll know I did a my husband bought yarn for me kind of video, and gave him a budget and off he went, and that's what he come back with. Really nice. But I'm going to make it today using just a plain colour. This is a DK weight yarn, and I'm going to use a 4mm crochet hook I've got in my hand. You can use the corresponding crochet hook to the yarn. Obviously you can use any yarn that you want, but make sure if you're very tight with your chain, you use a slightly bigger crochet hook to make the initial chain. Okay, so I'm just going to pause it for a while, so I really need to get a drink, and I will come straight back. Okay, so I'm not going to assume you're an absolute beginner, and you'll just need to make a slip knot however you normally do. And once you have your slip knot, you need to make your chain in multiples of 3. So this is multiples of 3 plus 1, and I'm going to just do a little chain now. So I'm going to pause it for a second while I get my chain together. As I say, you want it nice and loose so that it doesn't pucker at the bottom. So if you, as I say, if it's quite tight when you do it, just go up to a bigger hook for now, just to make your chain, and then switch over. So I'm just going to pause it for a second, because there's nothing worse than somebody else counting when you're trying to count yourself. Okay, so here I have my chain. They're all multiples of 3, so I need to do an extra 1. Okay, so I'm not going to work in the first stitch. This loop isn't a stitch. I'm going to go into the second one and pull up a loop and just do a whole row of UK double crochets, which is a single crochet in the US. So I'm just going to do that in every single one to the end. Now, if you wanted yours to look on the reverse side, you need to make maybe 2 rows of single crochets US, double crochet in the UK. But I'm just going to do 1 for now. So I'm going to go all the way to the end, and it's a bit boring to watch me, so I'll pause it and I'll come back to you once I've got all the way along. Okay, so I'm more or less there. I've just got 1 more to do. I don't know why my voice keeps drying. So that's what it looks like, unless you, as I say, you can always do another row completely, but just make sure that you go in every single stitch. So we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to skip 1. So this chain 2, this is the stitch it's come out of. We're going to skip the next one, and then we're going to do a V stitch, which is 2 trebles. So 1, 2. Now that's a UK treble or a US double crochet. So we have skipped 1, because this, remember, this one here is where our 2 chain come from, and then we've skipped 1 and we've done a V. We're going to skip 1, and in here we're going to do 2 more UK trebles or US doubles. So we're going to make another V. We're going to skip 1, skip, and V stitch. Skip 1, skip, and V stitch. Skip and V stitch. All the way to more or less until you get to the end. I'm going to pause it then, because it'd be a little boring watching me, and I'll catch up with you when I'm almost at the end of my chain, my stitches. Okay, so I'm almost at the end. I've got my last V. I'm skipping this one, and in that very last stitch I'm going to make a single UK treble or US double on its own, so it matches this side where we've got 1 on its own. Okay, so we're going to turn our work, and this is what it looks like. Now what I like to do is 1 chain, but I cinch it quite low because I don't want it to get mistaken for a stitch. And then in this very first stitch this time, we're not skipping any, we're going to do a row again, just like the first row, of UK double crochets or US singles. So we're just going to go in every single stitch all the way along and do 1 in every single stitch. Now I don't know what it would look like if you changed colour, so then you were doing the V's in one colour and these in another. I thought I'd done quite enough variations to show you, but it would be interesting to see what that looked like. It's one of those stitches that you can just play with the different colour combinations and sizes of yarn and see what looks nice. Okay, so we're just going to go in every single one. I might as well stick with you now as I'm almost there. I'll speed up just a little bit if I can until we get to the end. So this is, as I say, a 2-row repeat. The first couple of rows, obviously you're just preparing for the actual stitch. Okay, so there's my last stitch, and now I need to go into the top chain of my 2 chain that started the row. Okay, so there we are. That's what it looks like. It's kind of a row above and a row beneath. So we're going to do 2 chain just as before. We're going to start the row, and now we're going to go into this V and do an elongated V stitch. So we're going to yarn over and drop down past this row and go into the center of our V and pull up a loop. We're going to pull it up. I don't want to go too crazy, but we're going to pull it up so that it's higher than just higher than that row, and we're going to do a V. So we're going to do 2 stitches, and we're going to pull up slightly, and we're going to finish our V. So that's what we're doing. We're dropping down to the row beneath, we're pulling up, and we're just doing 2 UK trebles or US doubles that are longer than usual. Just by pulling up a little bit, we're going into that V, pulling up a little ways, and completing our stitch. And we're doing that twice in every single V. So we're making an elongated V stitch into our V stitch below. If that makes sense. So we're now starting the repeat rows. Okay, nice and simple. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause it then, and I'm going to go all the way to the end, and I'll catch up with you when I'm on my last V. Okay, so I've made my last V, and now we need to do 1 in our very last stitch, but obviously we've got to try and keep our edges straight. I can't get in. And so we don't really want it to be tall. We've only made these ones tall because we've dropped down. So this one is a normal size, and that is how our work is looking. So now we're going to turn our work, and this is the second row. I'm going to do a chain, cinch it down a little because I don't want it to confuse into being a stitch. And in my very first stitch, we're not dropping down, we're going to just go in the top, and we're going to do 1 UK double crochet, 1 US single crochet in every single stitch all the way along. And this is the second row of our repeat. So we're going to repeat those 2 rows until we've got the length that we want. Now if you started off with 2 rows at the bottom, obviously you might want to finish off with 2 rows at the top, but I think it's quite reversible, this stitch. I really like both ways. Okay, so I'm going to pause it there, and I will carry on doing 1 in every single stitch until I get to the very end. Okay, so I'm at the end. This is my last of my V's, and so I then need to go into the top of my 2 chain that started that row and turn. Okay, so now we're going to repeat this row again. So we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to drop to this V. So this is the row we've just done, and there's the V we did. So we're going to go into the center of that V, we're going to pull up again, and we're going to do an elongated V stitch into that V. Okay, and then into the next one, which is here, into the center, pull it up a little way, and finish the stitch. Make another V, and then we're going to drop down to the next one, and we're going to do our elongated V's, just like that. Okay, so we're going to work in every one all the way along to the end, and we're going to do 1 in our last stitch, just the same as we have at the beginning of our row. So I'm going to pause it then, and I'll catch up with you when I get to the end. Okay, so I'm at the end, and I just need to do 1 in my my first stitch there, just to complete that row, and that's what it's looking like here. So that traditionally speaking would be the rear, and that the front. But you know, as I said to you before, if you wanted to do 2 rows at the beginning, that flips it round for you. So this is a great stitch for anything, any wrap, blanket, scarf. I liked the swatch that I was making so much that this is going to be my new scarf for the winter. I love the colours in this yarn. What I'll do is in the description box, I'll put all the stitch count and everything else for that if you wanted to make your own. And if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and hopefully you'll be informed when new videos pop up. So that's our repeat. This next row we would just do one UK double or US single in every stitch along, and then we'd turn our work, and then we would drop down to do the long elongated V in the next row. Nice and simple, but it looks quite fetching once it's done. I really like it both ways. So thank you for watching. Happy crocheting, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.